And now, another exciting episode of As the River Churns.
Well, happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope you're enjoying the afternoon. We got our special guest today, and I've been looking forward to today, having Betty Hayes here. Betty, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Nice to have you. So a question right off the bat, Betty. So, you know, we have a lot to be thankful to you for, but one thing really in particular stands out in my mind that we have to be extra grateful for, and that is, I think it was like almost 20 years ago that you made a decision about hiring a staff member from Wisconsin. Is that right?
That's my claim to fame.
That's our claim to fame, yes. And who was that staff member in case
I hired Lisa Wade.
You hired Lisa Wade at the Presbyterian Homes of High Point.
Yes.
And look at what she's aspiring.
I know. I'm proud of her.
You should be proud of her. I think we all are very proud of her.
That was a great point of my life, to be able to come into that organization and to work with you. And so I will always be thankful to you for that.
And you were a youngin' back then, right?
Yeah.
I consider it a well-done job.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Now, with that in mind, we can go ahead and turn the clock.
That's right.
Betty, you can help Lisa with turning the, there we go.
See, now you see how hard it is. This is a hard job.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Well, Betty, we're going to get to you in a few minutes here, but Lisa, I think we have a trivia question today, right?
We do. So the trivia question today is from Gay Brown.
Thank you, Gay.
Yes, and the winner will get a $25 Target gift card.
Ooh.
So that's a nice prize right there. You could order online and have it shipped right to your home.
That's
so
super.
Perfect for the pandemic time. Okay, the question is, the United States animal is a bald eagle. So the national animal, bald eagle. But in this context, bald does not mean hairless. The bald part of the bird's name comes from an old English word meaning what?
Oh, meaning
okay.
Yes.
So the bald eagle. But in the context, bald does not mean hairless. The bald part of the bird's name comes from an old English word meaning what?
Okay.
Okay. We're going to open the lines here, and the number to call if you have the answer, 336-389-4103. 336-389-4103. And Michelle has not run out of the room yet, so there apparently is not a quick answer.
Either that or, Michelle, did you transfer the phone? Okay, the phone is transferred, so we're good on that. So. Oh, there she goes.
She's running out of the room.
All right, there we go. All right.
See, Miss Hayes, this is how it goes down here. This is our this is our entertainment.
So let me go ahead and do our coronavirus update today. Again, just quoting statistics from the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. We now have done 118,440 total completed tests. That's about 8,500 more than what we said on Wednesday. So we're running somewhere around that 4,000 to 4,500 every day now. And the confirmed cases, or the positive cases, are 9,948. So just about 10,000 here for North Carolina. And I did the percentage again. It was 8.4. So we've been running right around that low 8% mark. And that's been holding pretty steady. Unfortunately, the number of deaths did increase since Wednesday. They've gone up 48. We had 354 in the state that have passed away, unfortunately. And again, just asking you to keep the families of those who have lost their lives to COVID-19 in your prayers. We have 551 that are currently hospitalized, and that is an increase of 81 over what we had Wednesday. So the hospital has a few more cases there than what they've had. But when you do a comparison of the number of confirmed cases to the number hospitalized, we've been running right around that 5.5%, and that's exactly what we are right now. And 98 of the 100 counties in North Carolina now have a case. That's 3 more than what we had on Monday. So that's coming up. We're almost at 100% in North Carolina as far as the counties reporting a positive case. And then just going from county to county, Mecklenburg still has the most with 1,567. That's an increase of 75 over the last 2 days. Wake has 788. They actually came up 117 cases since Monday. And Durham is 708. They came up 169 cases since Monday. So both of them have come up a lot. Wayne County has come up another 10. They're at 645. Guilford's at 357. That's an increase of 56 since Monday. And Forsyth is 194, which is an increase of 38 since Monday. So we've seen a little bit bigger increase in cases, it seems like, almost throughout the counties in the last couple of days. And that may be just as a result of the fact that we're just doing more and more tests now, so we might see more of that, and that could be the case. And then I had mentioned to you all that we are starting to see that the Department of Health and Human Services is tracking cases in nursing homes and in retirement communities. And so the number of the almost 10,000 cases, 1,546 are from nursing homes. That's an increase of 184 since Monday. And residential care facilities, which are retirement communities like ours, but we also are seeing that there are other kind of congregate care type of settings. That is at 298 confirmed cases. That's 27 more than Monday. And then the deaths, we had mentioned that it was 354 deaths. 154 of those deaths have come from nursing homes. That's a 28 more deaths than what it was Monday. And 33 total from residential care facilities, which is 8 more than what it was on Monday. So continuing to see that. There are 49 nursing homes and 20 residential care facilities that have a case. That's three more than what it was on Monday at this point. And then this is a new report. I had mentioned that not only are they tracking it by nursing homes, by retirement communities, they are now, the state of North Carolina now is actually listing the facilities that have it. And not only listing the facilities, but they're listing the facility, they're listing the county of the facility, what type of facility it is, whether it is a nursing home or they're calling the rest of them either residential care facilities or other congregate living facility. And then they have the number of cases confirmed, lab confirmed cases in each of those places, and the number of deaths in those places. So I've got a complete list at this point. And Guilford County so far, has had a few outbreaks, but not a ton. I was looking at this. There is 2 nursing homes, which I think everybody is familiar with, that have had at least 2 cases. Claps, which has been all over the news, as having cases, and also it is Camden Place in Guilford County. So those are the 2 nursing homes. And then I am not seeing, there was one. There's one in Guilford that is considered residential care, and I think it's the, let me see if I can find it. I'm sorry. I should have highlighted it so I could go back to it easily, and I didn't do that. Well, I'm not finding it at the moment. Oh, here it is. Heritage Greens, which we knew about from before, that Heritage Greens had some, and they've had 5 confirmed cases there. So we're able to see kind of who's around us. And so really, fortunately, it's not a ton around us at the moment. It is around us, but it's not a ton around us, and I'm kind of hoping that stays the case here for us for the near future. But I think that's it as far as the stats go. We'll just kind of continue to follow that. I think we're starting to work on a plan for how we're going to address whatever the governor comes up with his 3-phase plan and how that might affect us. And just so everybody is aware, the governor's plan doesn't necessarily apply to us, meaning that, he's outlined in his plans that nursing homes and congregate care facilities like ours would still have higher restrictions than the typical general public. But, one of the things that we are going to be doing is working through our state trade association. All of the retirement communities in North Carolina would be working through our trade association to work through the governor's office just to see what kind of restrictions might be able to be lifted for the independent living side of our operation. And so, there's still a lot of work to be done there. Still a lot of information to come, but we don't have anything yet at this point planned exactly. We're talking a lot about that, but we don't have a lot of things planned yet at this point because we just don't know exactly, first of all, when it's going to go into effect, because even though the stay-at-home order goes through May 8th, there's no guarantee that it's going to stop on May 8th. This could go on another month even before we get to phase 1 of the governor's plan. So we got a little bit of time to kind of keep working on this and kind of see, but we'll see how that works out.
Right.
So anything else under coronavirus, Lisa?
Well, we've been updating folks on the raffle that's coming up next week, and
I'm not sure what that has to do with the coronavirus.
I don't know, but we put it under there for the agenda, so we're going with it. Raffle tickets are sold out, so
wow,
that was amazing. So
yes.
2 weeks we sold out 300 tickets.
So Lisa, I understand that you're selling your extra raffle tickets at a premium. Is that what I understand now?
I did have an extra ticket. I did buy a couple tickets, and someone kind of gave me a sad story today, and I did sell one of my tickets to them.
Wow, Lisa.
For face value. I did not make any money on it.
You didn't make any money off of this deal. Okay. All right. Well, that rumor is untrue then, that you were making money off of it.
Yes, it's untrue.
Okay.
Absolutely.
How about questions today, Lisa?
Okay,
I know we got some
questions. Our first one. Can you reconsider opening up the exercise equipment area and only having 1 or 2 people at a time?
Yeah, we get this question every once in a while.
We do.
And unfortunately, the answer is still the same, and that is the governor is the one calling the shots on this.
Right.
We actually petitioned with a couple other retirement communities through our state association to see if we could be exempt from that, and we are not exempt from that. So
But we did try. We did
try that. So unfortunately, there's just not a way to be able to do that.
Right.
Not even one at a time or anything like that. It won't go. It won't fly.
No. Okay, next question. Since it is okay to go, this is a big one, Tom.
Oh, boy.
Okay?
Oh, boy.
It's kind of what we talked a little bit about on Monday, about how we can leave the campus safely.
Right.
Since it is okay to go through a drive-through at a bank, can I go through a drive-through at a fast food place? My biggest concern, I don't want to get quarantined, and I don't want to lose my housekeeping services.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that.
That's a true fear here.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
How do we address this, Tom?
This is a tough one, right? Because we've been kind of saying all along, we've been using about getting out of your car as being the main factor.
We have.
For whether or not you go quarantined or whether or not you lose housekeeping services. And so I think that we can, and I know there are a couple residents that are doing this already, I think we can allow people to go through drive-through on fast food only and do the drive-through. But my recommendation is that you need to be wearing, you all have masks now, you need to be wearing your masks if you're going to do this and go through the drive-through.
Right.
If you got to get out of your car, though,
then that
the deal is off at that point.
Right.
You have to be quarantined at that point, and you will definitely lose your housekeeping services.
Right. So all along we've been saying if you can stay in your car for this service, we're okay with that. It just still, once again, it goes back to limit your risk.
Yeah.
So every time you leave here, you do expose yourself to something. I know it doesn't seem like a lot going through a drive-through, but you're exchanging cash or a credit card, and they're passing you the food. So it's all just about limiting your exposure.
Yeah. Every time that we go out and give ourselves a chance to get it from somebody else, that means a risk that we're bringing it in here.
Right.
So that's why we really have been hesitant about going in this direction. But the reality is, if you all promise to be safe about this, I think we can make this work. And so the drive-through is something that I think we can allow to have happen. So, and we need to make sure we tell Homer and his team that that's going to be the case, so that we don't do any of those nasty little warnings
That's
when
right.
they come back, right?
That's right.
So
We would hate for
Homer
that
likes
to
his
happen.
warnings. I figured that out. He likes to give out those
He
warnings.
does.
I think, so,
Uh,
okay. Is there
Okay.
another question?
yes.
Okay.
Okay. When will the flowers be in that I ordered through Scooter?
Oh, now this is a big question.
It is a big question
Yes.
because I think we're all ready to plant things and do all that good stuff.
Absolutely.
So Scooter has been in contact with the nursery that we get them through, and they're telling him they should have them before May 11th.
Okay.
So that could be the end of this week. It could be the end of next week. But they're telling him before May 11th he will have the flowers here.
So probably
that's
more
about
than
the
likely
best.
it'll be next week
Probably.
because
yes.
we only got a couple days left
Right,
this week.
right.
So chances
So
are probably not good they're going to get
I
it
wouldn't
this week.
wait for them this week for sure. But next week, more than likely, they will be here.
Okay.
So,
And
Okay.
I'm looking at your last question here, and this one has not surprised me. I was expecting this question to come up. And that question is, Lisa,
will you offer another opportunity to buy strawberries? And I will tell you, if Whitney is watching us or if she was somewhere near us, she would scream no because it has kind of been a nightmare. 200 plus gallons of strawberries.
yeah, that's a lot of
She has
strawberries.
distributed
Yeah.
and starting to distribute. So that's another piece of this. We still have another order coming tomorrow.
Right.
I think another 140 orders are coming tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it's a big day tomorrow. So let us reevaluate and see how things are going before we offer another opportunity to do the strawberry.
Yeah, and just being very transparent, I think from what I heard from Whitney is, we started off well with this strawberry farm that we were using.
Right.
And the last couple days they haven't kind of delivered like they had
Right.
promised.
Right.
And so we're waiting to see tomorrow how
Right.
well they come through on their delivery tomorrow so that we can hopefully finish the orders tomorrow that were ordered from last week.
Exactly.
And so once we kind of see how that goes,
Yep.
I think we'll be in a better position to see if
Right.
we can go another week
Right.
with this.
Because we're not the only people they're serving either. So they're trying to balance their orders throughout the week. And we obviously had a huge order here.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything wrong with saying this either. I know that yesterday we had gotten another strawberry order, and the strawberries were not up to par. And
Right.
so we sent them back, to be quite honest with you.
Right.
And so, and then we were supposed to get another order today, and it didn't come in today.
Right. They
So,
didn't have enough
and
to
we've been
fulfill.
promised it tomorrow. So we're just going to have to, and that was
Yeah.
the big concern with trying
Right.
to do this, especially knowing how many strawberries residents would want.
Right.
That we have a farm that's working with us at the moment, but it's not ideal
Right.
as far as working through all of the logistics of it.
Sure.
So we're hoping and we're hoping that tomorrow will be a better day,
Right. Right.
and then we'll just see.
Right. So let's give Whitney a break this week. Then we'll reapproach her next week and see how she feels about it.
So we'll kind of work our way.
But I think everybody that has gotten strawberries so far, they've been great. So we've had positive emails about the strawberries were super.
The
So,
strawberries on Monday were supposedly
they were.
fantastic.
Yep,
So
yep.
that was great.
But
I
if
think
you've
the ones
ordered
yesterday-
strawberries, more will come tomorrow and Friday.
Yeah, I
So-
think the ones yesterday just left a little bit to be desired.
Right.
So
Yep. Absolutely.
okay, well, all right, Lisa. I think we're done with all of our questions.
We are. Now we're to the good part.
We get the chance to visit with Betty Hayes. Betty, it's so great to have you here, and so great to have you as a resident here. I was wondering, do you get a lot of residents that kind of ask you a little bit about the old times when you were at the Presbyterian Home of High Point?
Occasionally someone does.
Yeah, I bet you do. And, I still think back very fondly, quite honestly, when I started here at River Landing, which was 17 and a half years ago now, and Betty had come out of retirement, I think, at one point.
No, I had not retired.
You hadn't retired, but you had changed jobs, and she was doing the marketing for us and getting ready to move residents over from the Presbyterian High Point. And so I got to spend my first 6 months here at River Landing with Betty, and those were great 6 months, just being able to learn from, one of the people that I really have looked up to in regards to, running a retirement community here for so long. Betty, I mean, you did that for 40-some years. You were running Presbyterian Home of High Point.
Yes.
So it was a great 6 months. You and I think, had a lot of fun together, and
did.
we worked pretty hard together. I mean, I was working on trying to get operations kind of going. You were working on trying to get residents.
And you
in.
got lost in the building.
Yeah. Now, that was a funny story, right? About me getting lost in the building when I first got hired. I still get lost in the building. I got to be honest with you. But, yeah, that was funny. Betty did a great job of setting up this big open house. And that was, now, in fairness to me, that was before we had signage.
Right.
And so I remember starting on Monday, and then that Saturday we were having this big open house. And Betty had it all laid out, and she told everybody, took them down, showed them where the 3-bedroom apartment was and where the 2-bedroom apartment was and everything else. And I remember getting my first group, and it was 25 people in my group, and I'm taking around, doing pretty good. And then I was down here on this level, actually, looking for our 3-bedroom model that we were going to use. And I started walking up one hallway, and I went, I think we're going the wrong way. We need to turn around and go up the other hallway. And I started going up the other hallway, and I went, no, this isn't right either. I said, you're going to have to just come back if you want to see a 3-bedroom apartment.
And you had 25 people with
I had
you.
25. They're all laughing at me, right? I mean, of course, they were as lost as I was, even more. So,
Sure.
But it was pretty funny.
So were walls up and everything? I mean, each apartment was already...
Oh, yeah, that was
there.
all in.
Okay.
Just there wasn't any signage. And,
Okay.
And I just couldn't find I couldn't find a 3-bedroom apartment to save my life. So. But Betty, I know you got some great stories that you wanted to share. So why don't you share some of your stories?
I do have some great stories. Tom had asked me to come and talk about incidences during my tenure at Presbyterian Home of High Point that were traumatic. He wanted to know if I'd been through a pandemic. And Tom, I'm not quite that old.
I'm glad to hear that.
Not quite. But Tom really sent me down memory lane. And I've been thinking ever since Lisa and I talked, what were the most traumatic things we dealt with during the 40 years I was there? And I'm going to touch on 2, and then I'm going to tell you stories about 2 others. One, our executive director died fairly suddenly. He had been ill for about 6 months, and that was a pretty difficult experience for all of us.
Yeah.
And then second, when we made the announcement to residents and to the board, well, we told the board we felt like it was imperative that we look for another site and relocate Presbyterian Home. I can remember very vividly making that announcement to the residents.
Oh, goodness.
It was
sure
a
that was
shock
well received.
to all of us.
It was well received, right?
Very well. Very well received, Lisa.
Oh.
But anyway, and then we had an ice storm
Yes.
during our move to Riverland.
That's right.
Y'all remember that?
I remember.
Yes.
So
We lost power in our cottages for a while, as a matter of fact, because of that.
So we've had some interesting stories, but I want to tell you 2 that were very traumatic for the residents, for me. And Tom, we didn't have a written plan for either one of these. Y'all have done extremely well with your pandemic planning,
Thank you.
but ours were a spur of the moment, and that you had to make it up as you went. When I look back on them, maybe I could have made some other decisions, but here's what we did. In January 22nd of 1985, 35 years ago, 5:30 in the afternoon, most of the 7 to 3 staff had already left. The residents were in the dining room, and I was sitting in my office, and the fire alarm went off.
Uh-oh.
Not something unusual. The panel was right outside my door. I stepped out to see where the supposedly fire was, and it was raining just as hard as it could rain inside the 1922 building.
Oh, my goodness.
This was our original building, built in 1922, and it housed 30 residents.
Wow.
This was during the dinner hour, so all but 3 residents were in the dining room. Fire trucks were coming from everywhere. Maintenance had gone home. There was no way that I could turn the valve cut the water off. But anyway, to make a long story short, a 2-inch pipe in diameter had burst and set off the sprinkler system. So we washed down the 1922 building.
Wow.
Ceilings began to fall. It was just an unbelievable sight to see all this water coming down in the building.
Wow.
We gathered the residents together after dinner, and the firemen had told us it is not safe for anyone to go into that building.
Wow.
However, we had to get the medicine and clothing for residents at least for 24 to 48 hours. Sent 2 staff members in, and some of you will remember Liv Leaker. Liv was one of the staff members.
Yeah.
And she and Louise Leonard went in to retrieve medicines that residents said they needed and clothing for a couple of days. Those of you who know Liv can see this happening. Here they are going through rooms trying to get together clothing, and Liv stops to water flowers. You can only imagine what Louise had to say about that.
That's Liv.
So anyway, we've got 30 residents and no place for them to sleep. We began to wonder, do we have enough nails to hang all of these people on?
Wow.
What are you going to do with 30 people? We went to the storage room and began to pull out furniture. By this time, all department heads were there working. We pulled out furniture. We set up beds in the solariums, in the living room. We had a few nursing unit beds we could use, maybe 1 or 2 in assisted living that we could use. And a few residents offered to take a resident home with them for the night if they lived out on campus. 2 or 3 residents went to their families home here in High Point.
Wow.
That didn't last very long. Within about 3 days, they were wanting to come back, so we had to find other lodgings for them. The culmination of the story was more ceilings fell. It was much worse than we had ever imagined.
Wow.
The building was slated to come down in 24 months so that we could build a 6-story apartment building. We had to empty the building of everything. So we had to go back in and get what the residents absolutely had to have. City Transfer and Storage came out. They completely emptied the building. And I forgot to mention that it had a full attic.
Oh, jeez.
In the attic was storage of out-of-season clothing. Reliable cleaners took everything out of the attic and stored it for us. It took us 3 months, but we had to completely renovate the building, which we tore down 2 years later.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That hurts.
Ooh.
From a lot of perspectives, that hurts.
Right.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's...
You ready for my second one?
Is it better or worse?
In the fall, or probably November of 1986, once again, it was time to go to the dining room. And we only had one dining room, and everybody ate at the same time. I had gone home, and I got a call from security saying, I think you'd better come back. We have a water problem. All of our problems were always surrounding water. We had torn down the 1922 building, the one I was talking about earlier, so that we could build a 6-story apartment building. The contractor had failed to cut off the main water lines to the building.
Oh, no.
And he had hit it and had broken the pipe. When I got there, as the river churns right down through the hallway into the main dining room.
Oh, my goodness.
By the time I got there, the dining room had been evacuated except for 2 individuals who refused to leave because they had not finished their dinner.
Oh my gosh.
You can't envision this. The water was to my knees coming down the hallway into the dining room.
Wow.
The firemen had built a wall trying to divert the water from the dining room out around the building. It helped, but it did not save the dining room.
Wow.
As we evacuated the dining room, and of course it was like 6 o'clock, and we knew breakfast was coming, and we didn't have a dining room.
Oof.
But we had a dietary staff that was can do. Just tell us what you want, and we'll manage. The dining room we had hoped we could salvage. I called the director of housekeeping, and he said, "I'll be right there, Miss Hayes, and I'll use my water back, and I'll get up this water." It wasn't a water bag. We had after disaster there all night.
Yeah.
Anyway, the carpet was ruined. Some of the furniture was damaged. So then we were faced with the problem of breakfast. We ended up serving, of course, the nursing unit in the nursing unit, the assisted living in assisted living as we had been doing. But then we had to set up other dining areas. We served lunch and dinner in the evening. We served twice each time. Breakfast we could manage with one service. But this went on for a month or so because the carpet was ruined, the smell was terrible. We had to completely take everything out of that room, which was a huge, huge dining room. But we managed. Mm-hmm. But we had, I think, 13 dining spots. And unfortunately, from the kitchen to the chapel where we were now serving, you couldn't get there on the same floor.
Oh.
You had to go up, across, and down.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
Oh, man.
So as I can say, most of our stories and problems were
Water related.
water related.
Wow.
So the motto there is don't let residents eat in the dining room. So, because it'll never happen then, right?
Right.
If that's the case.
We almost decided to put on our application one requirement. It would be preferable if you could swim.
But the kitchen wasn't affected? You could still operate out of there?
Well, it was a floor that could be cleaned up.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah,
Wow. But think if that had been...
if that had, I don't know what
Oh, my
we
gosh.
would've done.
Wow. Wow. That's crazy.
You know, Betty, we were talking about this a little bit this morning because we have another staff member who today is celebrating an anniversary, Kim Pouncey, 40 years.
40.
Yeah, 40
years.
today.
And so I was sitting there thinking, you know, Betty kind of set that model for everybody because she worked for 44 years, thank you. And we know we've got Fanny, who's been here since she was 1 or 2 years old, I think. And she's at 47, going on 48, I think.
Yep.
And now we got Kim at 48. I mean, at 40 years.
40.
And that's just something you don't hear of anymore these days.
And your Eddie's at 33 or 34.
Yeah.
And Sandy in the kitchen is way up in the 30s.
He's in the 30s.
35, is it?
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah, he's high too.
I mean, when you think about that and the longevity of these staff members, it sets a nice tone, I think, for the rest of the
that was really the
organization.
secret of our success, I think, the longevity.
I think it was, too.
The dedication of the employees.
Yeah, I think that means a lot. And I think, you know, that permeated through all the Presbyterian homes because, you know, even when you look at the other communities, you're seeing a lot of people. Now, not the 47 or 48 years, but a lot of the staff members that are sister communities have been there a long time. And I think that's one of the things I think that was well learned was that the secret to success is to have employees that stay with you and understand how your residents are and how your building works, and they can make it go. And I think it just that longevity just makes such a huge difference.
Well, you, Bill, Tim's getting up.
Yeah. Yeah, Tim's
when he's
approaching 30 years, I think. He just passed 25, I think. So So yeah, and Bill, well, I don't remember
Bill
even
is
how long.
25 years.
Bill was 25 years. But he did now you should talk about that for a second, right? Because and I don't know if you were at the Presbyterian home when Bill started there.
I was there when
So
Bill
talk
started.
about that for a second, because what he did. And some of you might not remember Bill Pleasance, but Bill was our CEO for a long time here at part of Presbyterian Homes. But he had an auspicious beginning, right?
Right. Bill worked for Friends Home, and he was the nephew of Richard Short, our former director. Very shortly after Mr. Short's death, we began to get a great many inquiries about could we help establish a home in another location. I think Laurinburg was probably, Scotia Village was probably the first one.
Yeah.
And then Glen Eyre. And so Bill was hired to come in and work with these communities to see if it was feasible to locate homes in those areas. His office was in the basement of the building that got watered down, and I've tried to remember what we did with Bill after that, but I don't know. The corporate office was established in, I think, 1984, but the corporate office was not then what it is now.
Today, yeah.
It was Bill
Yeah,
and maybe a controller,
right.
something like this, payroll clerk.
And maybe Ann Johnson, I don't know.
But Ann went with Bill
Yeah,
when he went out there.
yeah. That's pretty neat. Now, there was a rumor that Bill was actually, when he was a youngster, was mowing Presbyterian home
Bill worked
property.
there in his teens, worked in the maintenance department.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
I think that's pretty neat. So, here he is working in the maintenance department and ends up being the CEO for the
Right.
Presbyterian Homes. I just think that's a pretty cool story. So,
There's-
Betty, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing these great stories. And
Thank you for asking me.
yeah, this is pretty neat. It's kind of like a trip down memory road a little bit
Yes.
for you and for us. I'd never heard any of these stories, so
Right.
these are all fresh, and I'm like, wow. As an administrator, I can only imagine what you were going through trying to deal with those situations. And it wasn't fun.
Is there any wisdom you can give us as we're going through our current challenge?
But you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
You never, ever turn this off once you've worked in this field.
Yeah.
And I was sitting here thinking, I do this, I believe I do. And then I'd come downstairs, and I remember particularly, I thought, they ought to mark off 6 feet in the bistro. And I came downstairs, and somebody had marked off 6 feet in the bistro. And I thought, we're in good hands. Done a remarkable job.
Well, thank you. We just keep plugging away. We have a great team.
Yeah, we do have a good team.
Yep. Yep.
And, it's very enjoyable taking stuff away from residents. Isn't that what it is, Lisa? I mean, that's really the whole fun. No, I'm teasing.
Not really. No.
No, it's not.
That's
And
the
I
hard
joke about
part.
that, but it really, and I've mentioned this on several
Yes.
shows about how
Yep.
hard that is to take stuff away. That,
Right.
the what was normal 2 months ago is, it's kind of weird and surreal that we're, in the situation we are in right now. It just feels like in some ways it's a whole.
I think your solution to housekeeping has just been right on.
Yes.
Well, we were very fortunate, and I give all the credit to our 4 housekeepers that are doing this,
Right. And to volunteer. I mean, they
haven't seen their families in a
No.
month and a half now.
no,
So,
exactly.
And we know that they're going to go all the way through May at this point
Right,
with doing
right.
that, and I think we're going to even have 3 of the 4 for sure that are going to continue on beyond that.
Right.
So,
Right.
so yeah, I think it's that's a blessing. It reminds me a little bit, Betty, of what you were just talking about, which is having really great staff members, really people that really care about the residents and their jobs and what they do, and they're committed to it. It's not just a job where they're coming in to get a paycheck.
Right.
It's a job they're coming in because they feel fulfilled. They're doing something good for the residents that are here. And we all know there's a special bond between the residents and the staff here. And, we as staff feel the love of residents on a daily basis. And, hopefully the residents feel that love coming back from staff on a daily basis as well. We've been very blessed, I think, that we've got the staff that we have here. And, it goes all the way from Fanny, who's been here for almost 47, 48 years, to the person we hired just yesterday, who's coming on board and now just joining this family here at River Landing. It's a pretty cool story.
Well, I've really been amazed at the solutions to some of the problems on shopping. It's forced me to learn to do some things that I probably would never have done.
Right.
Sure.
You know, ordering on Instacart.
Sure,
So
sure.
forth. So,
Yeah.
Yep.
I turned a friend of ours from church onto Instacart, and every time she gets a delivery, she sends me a little heart text message saying, another delivery. I think this is going to stay on even after we go back
Right.
to normal again.
Sure.
So
Yep.
it's a great service.
It
I
is.
mean, it's really great service.
I share with my children every night things you've come up with that just have amazed me.
Well, thank you.
And you have another connection here in the Shepherd's Way, the daycare.
Yes, I had a great grandbaby in Shepherd's Way, and I was just heartbroken when they had to take her out.
I know.
They took her out about a week before we closed.
Did they? Yeah.
And I said to the parents, I've been watching that baby on the in-house camera. The one thing you've got to do is set me up where I can see her. So they got me all working on Skype. So about right after dinner, most nights, they call and let me talk with the baby.
Oh,
That's awesome.
Matilda? What's her name?
Graylin.
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 That
Okay.
was close, Lisa.
Yeah.
Well, and as a matter of fact, I just got an email from the folks at Shepherd's Way, so this is probably a good time to announce this, that, they had stopped for a while because they, for a multitude of reasons, and so we've just got an email from their director that says that they're going to start up their operation again starting next week. So it'll be limited. It won't be as much, anywhere near as much as it was before, but I think it'll be great having the kids back on campus again. And you all may not have a really chance to see them as much, but just to know that they're here, I think will be great. And I'm kind of hoping that these little pieces that start coming back to us here and there give us a little bit of hope for the future, that we're kind of moving on and getting back to being. And I don't want to call it normal, because I think with all of the bad stuff that's happened because of the pandemic, which we understand that, and I don't want to take that for granted, but there's been some real positives that have come out of this pandemic. I think an appreciation, if nothing else, of what we had before. It's more, we're really more appreciative now of what we had before, because we can't have that now. And so Lisa and I were laughing a little bit about this, but residents calling us up saying, we really can get in our car and go out and ride on the road and come back as long as we don't get out of the
Right.
car. That's okay. And we're like, yeah. And they're like, this is awesome.
Right. I mean,
thought,
who would have said that before? I mean, that wouldn't have been a
guessed, right?
treat.
Do
and
I
now
have
it's a
to
treat.
go?
Yeah.
now
I
you
mean,
can go get Bojangles. Oh my
Right,
goodness. I mean,
right.
it doesn't get any better than this, right? So anyway, just there's some good things. And I know,
Absolutely.
just speaking for me personally, the family aspect, I'm sitting down having dinner with my family again. And we didn't.
Nobody's running places.
Nobody's
and
running
all
places,
that.
or
Right.
people were
right.
doing taekwondo, or they were dance, or they
Sure.
were here, or they were there, or baseball, or whatever. And wow, I mean, 5 or 6 nights a week now, I'm having dinner with my whole family, and we're having a good time. We're joking around, having a good time, and sharing stories. And I was like, this has been something I hope that will survive this pandemic
Right,
when it was
right.
in the future. So
Before we get too busy again.
yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. It won't take long to go back
Sure.
the other way, unfortunately. But going to try my best not to let
Yep.
that happen. So, but Betty, again, I can't thank you enough for being on here,
Thank you
and
for having me.
loved having you here today. So,
Yep.
I think with that, that's right. I almost jump ahead too. I always do jump ahead. We got
We
to do
have
the
an
trivia
agenda,
winner.
Miss Hayes.
I almost
we
did
need
it,
to
but
follow
I
this.
caught it. I caught it, Lisa. So you got
Okay.
the trivia thing, and then I've got a couple of cute
Yes,
little
and
trivia
we
things.
have a few birthdays today.
Yes.
So happy birthday to Stu Bankston,
Ah,
Ray Jones, Jane Kimmel,
Wow.
who used to live at Presbyterian
Yes.
Home,
wow.
and Levon Boone. So happy birthday to 4 people today.
4. Wow.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Well, happy birthday to all of you. That's fantastic. And do we have a trivia
We
winner?
do.
We do.
Okay, so the trivia question today, let's see, the bald eagle In this context, bald does not mean hairless. The bald part of the bird's name comes from an Old English word meaning what? The answer is, in Old English, bald meant white. So the white head of the bald eagle. That makes sense.
It does make sense.
And we do have a winner. The winner today is Libby Leonard.
Ah,
So congratulations, Libby. You are the winner of the $25 Target gift card.
fantastic.
So,
Congratulations.
yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so I have a couple of quick little things that I got. One from a resident, one that wasn't. Let's see. This is from Kathy Rickard. Two, I thought these were cute. Just thoughts to keep in mind. Can everyone please follow the government instructions so we can knock out this coronavirus and be done? I feel like a kindergartner who keeps losing recess because one or two kids can't follow directions.
That's good.
That's a
And
good
the other one I thought was really good was, I never thought the comment, I wouldn't touch him or her with a 6-foot pole, would become a national policy, but here we are. That's cute.
a good
isn't
one.
it?
Yes.
And then I have another little one too. It says, 3 sisters aged 92, 94, and 96 live in a house together. One night, the 96-year-old draws a bath. She puts her foot in and pauses. She yells to the other sisters, was I getting in or out of the bath? The 94-year-old yells back, I don't know. I'll come up and see. She starts up the stairs and pauses. Was I going up the stairs or down? The 92-year-old is sitting at the kitchen, having tea, listening to her sisters. She shakes her head and says, I sure hope I never get that forgetful. She knocks on wood for good measure. She then yells, I'll come up and help you both as soon as I see who's at the door.
That's a cute one,
That's
too.
cute, right? They're very cute.
Yes.
So,
Well, and to finish up this week, tomorrow we are showing To Tell the Truth.
yes.
And once again, Miss Hayes, you were on that show, so this was a good way to lead into tomorrow.
She wasn't just on the show. She wrote all the questions for the show.
That's true. It was a lot about our history.
That
So,
way I knew
absolutely.
the answers
That's
if I
right.
wrote the questions.
Oh, and then Friday, Tim Webster will be here,
Oh,
the
yeah.
president of our organization, and he was also on To Tell the Truth.
He was.
So perfect way to end the week.
Now, Lisa, I think there's one little caveat before we end, and that was
Okay.
we had one question on To Tell the Truth that we found out later that the answer was wrong.
That's true.
It was on the Olympics, I think,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So just so...
Oh, and you wrote that one.
Thanks, Betty. I wasn't going to point that out, but okay. Yes, I was the one that
You're
wrote
right,
that one.
though.
Yeah,
And I think it was Jan that pointed it out to us.
I was off by a year, so yes, I was...
Oh,
That was after my time.
it was. That's right. Oh,
It was very good, and I would highly recommend you watch it.
yes, that was a great show.
It was a good
Yep.
show, and I think you'll learn a lot of history about River Landing and Presbyterian Homes if you
Right.
watch it tomorrow. at 3
Absolutely.
o'clock, so. But otherwise, we'll see you on Friday. Again, Betty,
Okay.
thanks for being
Thank
here.
you.
We
Yeah.
love you all. Have a great afternoon.
Bye-bye.